Now, as far as editing these videos went, I used this thing right here, and this is the exact case I brought it out in. It's a iPad Air 2, the 128 gigabyte edition, and I also had it in a Z-Packs waterproof little roll-up bag. This iPad's been through the Appalachian Trail. And to get the video to the iPad, I used these two adapters. This one right here, I used specifically with the Sony RX100 Mark III. This is a Lightning to female USB attachment right here. And the reason I did this is it's kind of long-winded, but if you want to use Sony's more advanced video codec, so there's standard MP4, Sony on the RX100 offered, I think it was XAVC-S, which is a slightly less compressed MP4 format, by my understanding anyway. In order to transfer it over, you had to jump through hoops to transfer it onto the iPad. I have no idea why. I did make a video about it. I'll leave it up in the card so you can watch it if you want. But I preferred to film in that codec, the XAVC-S, because especially when moving around, I noticed that there was a considerable difference in quality over the standard MP4. But either way, it was an adventure transferring those XAVC-S files. You could just record in standard MP4 on the Sony RX100, and then you could transfer them very easily with this adapter right here. We'll talk about that in a second. But where I prefer the XAVC-S, this was my solution. And again, watch the video if you want to see how it all worked. It's kind of silly, and I don't know why Apple doesn't offer support for that video format, because it seems pretty popular as far as, you know, Sony devices go, so whatever. But again, if you're recording in standard MP4, and this worked for both the Sony RX100 and the Panasonic G7, I used right here a Lightning to SD card reader. So you just pop your SD card in with all your footage on it, and instantly on the screen on the iPad you will see all your photo and video pop up for importing. So you can select whatever you need, hit import, and it'll upload all of those pictures and video to your iPad without problem. And this moves much quicker than the transfer rate of this did with the Sony anyway. So this was a much better solution in my opinion. Had no issues transferring standard MP4 and photos from either of the cameras with this setup, so this was a nice little attachment to have. Both of the cameras do have wireless apps that I used pretty frequently for transferring photos. I do not use it for transferring video, and if I'm being honest, I'm pretty sure that you can't use it to transfer video on either of them because the file size is too large. You can control both cameras also from their wireless app. The Panasonic one is much better at controlling the camera than the Sony one, in my experience, and I did use it a little bit here and there just to, you know, I'd set a photo up, I'd walk away, and I could take the picture with my phone. I use it a couple times, but the self-timer is available on both cameras too, so I don't know. The Panasonic one just seems a little more full-featured to me than the Sony app did. So as far as the iPad itself, I use the very standard iMovie, and you can see right here I actually have the last projects that I edited on here still available. A lot of people asked about the music I used in the videos. Every piece of music that you heard in my videos from the Appalachian Trail was from YouTube's free music library, and I uploaded that to my iPad here with iTunes before I left for the trail. So all that music was on here before I left. It's exceptionally difficult, if not impossible, to import music to these without iTunes, which, I don't know, seems a little strange, but I don't know, I guess it's Apple. And iMovie worked really well for me for the whole editing process. I tried a couple other programs, and I don't know, it just didn't work as fluid to me. Was able to export really quick. It handles 4K footage too from the Panasonic G7 pretty well also. I don't know, will it work for you? Maybe. Do you need an iPad? Probably not. If you have a newer phone, maybe something like the iPhone 8 or 10, iPhone X, I think iMovie on that would probably suffice for you. But where I had an older iPhone 6 with limited storage on there, I didn't want to risk not being able to like transfer photos to my phone and stuff, so I wanted something specifically for video editing. And that, for the most part, is the video gear I used. Hopefully you get something good out of it. If possible, if I have time, I'm going to talk about actually vlogging on a through hike, the pros and cons, and I'm going to try to do an editing video as well, just how I edited videos on this. But we'll see. Time is precious to me right now, so we'll see what we can do. But anyway, I hope the video was helpful. I hope that you got some sort of information out of my rambling. If you did enjoy, consider dropping the video a like. If you love the video, consider commenting and subscribing. You can follow me on Instagram if you care to, at Chris Goes Outdoors. And until next time, take care everyone. We'll see you out on the trail.